The Mansfield Phenology Project is a new effort by the Vermont Center for Ecostudies to track variation in the phenology of a mountain ecosystem and to understand how changes in the timing of key biological events affects the plants and animals that call this place home. We know that anthropogenic climate change has already caused dramatic shifts in phenology in many parts of the world. For example, warmer average temperatures during winter have caused spring wildflowers in New England to bloom a week earlier on average now than they did in the late 1800s. We know far less, however, about what changing phenologies mean for the health and viability of biological populations. If warm winters mean that plants flower earlier and produce leaves earlier, what does this mean for the pollinators that visit the flowers or the herbivores that eat the leaves? Or what about the birds and other predators that eat those pollinators and those herbivores? Is their phenology advanced too, so that the timing of their emergence matches that of their food sources? Or do they find themselves suddenly out of sync with the resources that they rely upon? The goal of the Mansfield Phenology Project is to start answering these kinds of questions at a site where we've been studying bird populations for over a quarter of a century. We're using a variety of tools to track snowmelt, leaf out, emergence of arthropods, and the arrival and breeding of migratory birds. We hope to learn how climate change is changing nature's calendar on Mount Mansfield, and whether plants and animals are adapting or suffering. Doing so will allow us to better document the impacts of climate change in an iconic New England landscape and better understand the conservation challenges facing its inhabitants.
Up here we've got just a regular game camera, trail camera. We have it set to take time-lapse photography. You probably can't see, but it's actually focused out on a heartleaf paper birch. So what we're going to capture with this is the emergence of leaves on the paper birch. So the phenology of when did the leaves come out. By taking a shot every hour over the period of weeks, we'll capture that. We'll also capture the loss of the snowpack up here in the mountains too. In the background we've got a hillside covered in snow. So we'll really be able to sort of photo document the arrival of spring up here in the mountains. So that's up here. Down here, paired with it, we have what's called an automatic recording device. So it's basically a digital recorder that we set that records sounds. And we have it set right now to record for about 6 hours each day. 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening. And the goal of having that up here is to capture the arrival of birds returning back to these mountains to breed. So by using this, we're going to be able to figure out when the birds first arrive. We'll hear them calling. We'll have recordings of them calling and singing. And so we'll understand the phenology of the birds. A good close-up of one of the automatic recording devices. So completely weatherproof unit. Everything is sort of stored within this hard plastic outer box. The one thing you can see is it has 2 microphones here. These are omnidirectional, so they're recording sound in all directions. Inside this case is just a digital audio recorder, and so it's recording everything that's probably within 100, 150 meters. Anything, any bird singing, we will hear right through these microphones. It'll be recorded. We'll be able to go back after the field season, and we'll be able to look through and we'll be able to identify when birds are returning. So we've got these recording devices going, but we're going to pair them also with some other work that we'll do. So we've got the camera to give us an idea of snowpack diminishing, leaves emerging. We have the automatic recording device to give us an idea of when the birds are returning by recording their song. Then we're also going to pair that up with our long-term banding efforts up here. So we have a series of mist nets that we run all along the ridgeline up here on Mount Mansfield. Chris and Kent and others have been doing it for 25 years.
In this first year of the Mansfield Phenology Project, we've learned that we can track key phenological events on the mountains, sometimes from the comfort of our office and sometimes not. However, this is largely a long-term investment whose value won't be clear for many years to come. Although 1 year of phenological data may reveal very little, in 20 years a biologist, maybe one of us, but probably not, watching the sunrise over the Worcester Range, listening to a Bicknell's thrush sing, will be glad that data we've begun collecting under the Mansfield Phenology Project exists.